Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. It is the Vegas Take back at you live on a Tuesday. Glad you could join us. Sharp and Shapiro. It is the Vegas Take. Hope everybody had a fantastic, extra extended weekend, I would hope. Of course, yesterday is MLK Day. We're gonna get to the Minister Stretch Sanders in hour number 2. Usually he comes on our show on Tuesdays. We're going to explain to you why he will not be coming on our show anymore, and apparently he had his MLK protest yesterday. We'll get to that coming up in hour number 2. I don't think it went as well as Stretch would have hoped for. We will get to that in hour number 2. But this is going to be fun. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, I've been wanting to interview this very pretty lady for a very long time. Look at this. I'm sounding like Donald Trump now. Well, if you recall, she was working for Fox News for many, many years. She was working for Fox News, and she has a new book out called Tonight at 10, Kicking Booze and Breaking News. Courtney Friel will be joining us, and she's made headlines not just because she has a new book out, but also the way Donald Trump treated her at Fox News. I certainly want to ask her if Bill O'Reilly or Roger Ailes have ever sexually, come after her. So we will be asking her those questions coming up at the bottom of the hour. Boy, do we have a lot to get to in the world of sports. Obviously, we'll get to UNLV. We'll get to the Conor McGregor fight. Gallant making his first statement since being fired. We'll talk about that. And, of course, the big game coming up in a few weeks. And I told you on this show that I don't think I was going out on a limb and saying it, but I said it would be the 49ers and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'm still sticking with my guns. I said at the beginning of the playoffs, I said the Chiefs are the team to beat. So we'll talk about the big game and how the books just got destroyed over the weekend. We will talk about that as well. Good news for everybody. I know everybody's going to be happy about this. Guess what, folks? It's porn week in Las Vegas. Yes, I know all the 80-year-old conservatives are very happy to hear about that. The AVN Awards and the Porn Expo are coming to town literally tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then the award show over the weekend. So what better person to kick it off and talk to us about it than somebody who is, what do you call it when they're when you don't win the Oscar, but you're nominated? Okay, that was the word I was looking for.
Yes.
So
she's nominated for a couple of awards, I believe.
So she is Allura Jensen.
Right.
She is a porn star, and she has been I guess, like I said before, nominated for a few awards, including the Most Attractive MILF Award. Yes, I can't wait to talk to her about that.
Very, very prestigious award.
Yes, so Allura will be joining us. It is a prestigious award.
Yes, it is. I agree. I'm not being sarcastic, nor am I being condescending or patronizing.
And guess what?
I am being honest.
I want to find out for her, if you win this award, like how does it raises your paycheck, obviously. I want to know exactly how much.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. So we'll ask her that. Now we're number 3, JD. We'll have a good time with her. But I want to start off with Michael Avanatti because, as you know, he was arrested last week right outside the courtroom, ironically, right before the Nike case. This is not a coincidence. I said to myself, there's something weird going on here, right, with Michael Avenatti. And if you don't know who Michael Avenatti is, if you've been living under a rock, of course, he represented Stormy Daniels. He's been going after Donald Trump for years. Everybody on the right can't stand the guy because he's been going after some of the most prominent people on the planet, including Nike, including Donald Trump, so on and so forth. So a lot of people are very happy that he's behind bars. I'm not one of them, and it's not because I'm a liberal. It's not because I'm a Democrat. It's because I've spent some time around the guy. I enjoy him coming on our show. I think he's a great, entertaining guest. And listen, if he committed crimes, let me be very clear on this one. If he committed crimes, whether it be financial, whatever the case may be, then he needs to do time for it. I don't know if that's true or not, and that needs to. But I want to. The reason why we're bringing up Michael Avenatti, some very troubling news about how he is being treated. Okay, do you remember Al Chapo? You remember how El Chapo was treated? He said that the jail cell that he was in was like torture. Those are the words of El Chapo. Well, he's having a hard time, Michael Avenatti is right now, enduring the conditions at a New York federal jail that housed Jeffrey Epstein until his death, and, as I mentioned, is the same cell that the drug lord El Chapo used.
It's Manhattan Correctional Center, Block 10. It is a notorious cell that he's in right now.
So the details of Avanatti's housing conditions were revealed in this letter that was filed by his attorney late yesterday. And it was written to District Court Judge Paul G. Gardif to consider moving this lawyer, to another facility. And by the way, this judge is the one that said that he posed a detriment to society or a danger to society, which I completely disagree with. It's a joke. This is all a joke, a sad joke. But let me read you a part of the letter. And we have this full letter, by the way, posted on our Twitter page, but I'm going to read you some excerpts. Again, this is Michael Avenatti's attorney talking about the conditions to the judge.
His name is Scott Srebnick.
Yes, and this is a letter to the judge trying to get him out of there. So I'm going to read you just some excerpts from this. And I want to know what you guys think about this because I think it's absurd. So in this letter, it says, under Mr. Avenatti's current conditions of confinement, we cannot effectively prepare for trial, and Mr. Avanatti cannot meaningfully assist in his defense. The attorney goes on to say, after spending 3 nights in the Santa Ana jail under solitary confinement conditions, by the way, 24/7. That's right. He is in solitary confinement 24/7. Can you tell me anybody that has possibly committed some financial violations that would be put in solitary confinement 24/7? He said Mr. Avenatti was flown from California to New York. Since then, he's been housed in a special housing unit on the notorious 10 South of the MCC, New York. It's the most secure floor in the entire facility. He is in a cell reportedly once occupied by El Chapo on a floor that houses individuals charged with terrorism offenses. He is apparently under special administrative measures, which almost completely restricts his communications with the outside world. He's been locked down for 24 hours a day in solitary confinement, except for attorney visits and 2 medical exams. There's an officer outside his cell 24 hours a day and 2 cameras focused on him. Mr. Avanatti was permitted 2 social calls upon arriving at the facility, but none since. He was told that his classification entitles him to 1 pre-scheduled social call per month. He gets 1 call per month. The temperature in his cell, according to Michael Avanatti, his attorney, feels like in the mid-40s. He's forced to sleep with 3 blankets. Not surprisingly, he has been having great difficulty functioning. And he has not been permitted to shave.
And do you know why that is?
Why is that?
Because they're afraid he's going to kill himself. That's why he can't shave, because he can't be around razors. And apparently, since what happened with Jeffrey Epstein, they're afraid, quote unquote, that's what's going to happen to Michael Avenatti.
Well, that's a bunch of crap.
It is an absolute bunch of crap, and they have no idea how tough this guy is. Michael Avenatti is one of the guys that can take this. He wasn't sodomizing children. He's not a pedophile. He's not a terrorist. He's not a drug kingpin. He's not even convicted of crimes. He's charged with crimes, but he's not convicted of crimes. The fact that he's in this situation shows exactly how close he was or is to taking down one of the biggest companies, Nike, in the world.
And listen, I don't care. I agree. And I don't care if you're a Trump supporter. I don't care if you're a Michael Avenatti hater. I don't give a crap. If you support the way Michael Avenatti is being treated right now behind bars, mid-40s, 3 blankets, 24/7 solitary confinement, 1 social call a month. If you think in America that is the way we should treat anybody who is accused of, possibly some financing issues.
That's not America. That's North Korea. That's Russia. That's communist China. That is not the United States of America.
No, it's horrible. And I'm just so sick of these people. Listen, I said this before and I'll say it again, and we're covering this case. We're not keeping silent about this. Unlike right-wing talk shows that will never talk about Paul Manafort, unlike right-wing talk shows that will never talk about anybody on the right that's in a little bit of trouble, because they don't, by the way. All they do is attack the left. We're going to cover both sides. We have had Michael Avenatti on this show every week for 6 months. I've hung out with the guy. I've enjoyed hanging out with him. And if he committed a crime or crimes, then he's going to have to take responsibility for that if he's found guilty. Whatever happened until innocent until proven guilty in this country, number one. And number two, for those idiots out there that want to call Michael Avenatti a scumbag, for those morons out there, those bias hacks that want to go after Michael Avenatti, and then they stay silent when it comes to anybody on the right. They stay silent when it comes to Donald Trump. When Donald Trump goes after a woman based on her looks, when Donald Trump goes after POWs, when Donald Trump goes after Gold Star families, those people are very quiet. The Tucker Carlsons of the world, the Laura Ingrams of the world, they remain silent and they kiss the ass of Donald Trump. But when it comes to Michael Avenatti, boy, they want to kick him when he's down. It's called zero credibility. and they are just appeasing their base of morons that look up to them. That's all that's about.
And I will say that there's an update. The judge received that particular message from his lawyer, Scott Strebnick, and he has requested by 2 p.m. today that the government tell him exactly why Michael Avenatti is being kept in these in these conditions. He endorsed it with a memo, with a memorandum.
Good.
So we'll find out exactly why he's being kept in the conditions that he is, and the judge is obviously not happy with it either.
Listen, I've spent enough time around Michael Avenatti to go, he's the last guy that would commit suicide.
No, absolutely not. I totally agree.
He's the last guy that would do that. He's the last, listen, I'll tell you right now, if I was in like one of those little cells in solitary confinement, I probably wouldn't make it. Maybe because I'm I suffer from some major claustrophobia, but I would not make it. But you're right.
I mean, if Andy Dufresne can do it, you can do it, Brian.
Well, you're right though. Michael Avenatti he's a tough guy. He's not a wimp. He's going to get through it.
And not only that, this tells him exactly how much he's actually accomplished. The fact that he is a not even a convicted financial criminal, and he's being treated like the biggest drug lord in the history of, since Pablo Escobar.
Let me ask you a question.
He's smart enough to realize that, wow, I'm really close to breaking something open that's huge here.
Well, of course. So that leads me to my next question. Let me ask you this. Now, I personally believe that a part of this is Attorney General Barr and Donald Trump. He's been going after. Hold on, let me finish. He's been going after these guys for a long time. I said partly. But, the more and more I think about this, I also think Nike is involved.
Yeah.
So do you think it's fair to say that both sides are involved here?
I think it's 80-20 Nike Trump. I think that he really can't do much to hurt Trump anymore. Obviously, Trump isn't happy with him. But I think Michael Avenatti is a flight risk for Nike right now in a lot of ways.
He's not a flight risk to society.
He's absolutely not. He's a flight risk to the NCAA for what happened with Nike. And
he has
their
a lot
involvement.
of information.
He has damning evidence. And Nike is one of the biggest companies in the world. They do business all over the world.
How big a company is Nike?
They're probably worth $250 billion. I would say
that much?
They do between $20 and $30 billion a year in business, and that might be on the low end.
Mm-hmm. So you think that Phil Knight and the billionaires and the upper echelon of Nike are responsible partly to where Michael Avenatti is in now and the way he's being treated? Because I think it's a little more than that with Donald Trump and Barr. When you have the Attorney General and the President of the United States that want nothing but for you to get the electric chair, you're going to be put in harsh conditions. Now, let me ask you another question. And I feel horrible that I even have to ask this question, but I think it's a question that needs to be asked. Or asked, I should say. Do you think that there is a chance that Michael Avenatti could be hurt, let alone losing his life at some point behind bars? Do you think that is a possibility when you hear about these conditions, when you hear about the position that he's put in, and when you hear about all the powerful people and companies that he's trying to take down like Nike? Do you think this could be Epstein all over again? And listen, I am not in any way, shape, or form comparing Avenatti to Epstein as far as the alleged crimes. Epstein was a child molester. What is the worst crime that Michael Avenatti is accused of committing? Well, a lot of it has to do with money, right? A lot of it has to do with they're alleging that he stole money from people, from clients,
hiding money from his wife, structuring payments through banks.
But make no mistake,
not paying back clients that he won settlements for.
But those are the worst crimes that he allegedly committed, and we don't even know if he committed those crimes.
These
or not.
are white-collar crimes that he is being charged with and accused of that he has not been convicted of.
And you just named the worst crimes.
Right.
That,
I think there's a 10% chance that something heinous could happen to Michael Avenatti behind bars because he is a flight risk to one of the biggest companies in the world. And Donald Trump, the Trump family, William Barr, obviously they're not a fan of him either.
All right, well, we'll take a few phone calls on this because I want to know what you guys think out there. And I hope that you can be objective. I hope that you can look at this not from a Republican or a Democrat and say to yourself, look, if you're accused of committing some financial crimes, you shouldn't be in solitary confinement 24/7. I would hope that you'd be intellectually honest and say that. Let me give out the number if you want to be a part of this conversation. The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call. We're talking about the conditions that Michael Avenatti is in, 24/7 solitary confinement. I think it's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 257-5396.
And think about this. Again, this is not how the United States does things. This is how North Korea, China, Russia, Cuba, Iraq, Iran. That's how those countries do things. This is not how the United States does things. And ask yourself this: I mean, if this could happen to anybody. Michael Avenatti has not been convicted of these crimes. He's not a murderer. He's not a rapist.
Definitely not.
He's not a giant drug lord.
No, not at all.
He isn't a pedophile. He wasn't involved in a sex trafficking ring. He is a potential white-collar criminal, and he's being treated like he's one of the worst human beings on the face of the earth.
It's disgusting to me. All right, let's go right to your phone calls, 257-5396. Let's start off with Brady. Brady, what's going on?
What's up, Brady?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. You asked the question earlier, Brian. Who else has the government done that to? And you guys forget, good old Paul Manafort. Look what they did to that man. Look what they did to General Flynn.
Paul, hold on. Here's again when you're. It takes you about 10 seconds to be factually inaccurate. Paul Nair, please show me an article where his attorneys complained that he was in solitary confinement 24/7. Please show me an article where Paul.
He's in prison 24/7.
I didn't say. Hey, dummy! Why don't you listen to what I'm saying? I didn't say he was in prison 24/7. I said in solitary confinement 24/7.
He's in solitary confinement.
Really? Show me the article that says
he's at Rikers Island.
Show
Brady,
me.
And
Yeah.
and he was never in those conditions until he was convicted of his crimes.
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. You're not factually accurate. Why don't you admit that?
Fact. There's 170 counts against him of him.
I don't care if there's 1,000 counts against him. If they're
okay, they're taking money from him.
Excuse me. No, you come on. First of all, you started this conversation by not being factually accurate because you do that every time you call in. Number one. Number two, it could be 1,000 counts against him if it is financial fraud or financial situations. No logical human being that is not biased like you would think that someone should be in solitary confinement 24/7 and be treated like El Chapo. Get the hell off our show, you idiot. 702-257-5396 is
Not a great call, Brady.
the number to call. Let's go to James. James, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up,
Good
James?
morning. Yeah, I just like to say I think he's probably wacko. I think he's safe because he's not trying to take down one of the Clintons, so he's probably safe.
What do you mean he's safe? He's in solitary confinement. Did you just listen to what we just said?
Well, he'll probably end up out of solitary confinement alive, not like someone who's trying to take down the Clintons.
Okay, so let's forget about the Clintons because, in my personal opinion, that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. Let me ask you this question.
Well, you're not talking about him coming out of solitary confinement alive?
James, here's what we're talking about. Hold on. Just hear, James.
Because the other day you were inaccurate about something. You have
about what?
And battery.
About what? About what? What was I factually inaccurate about?
The guy who was the kid who had the lawsuit was standing there when the Native Americans were.
Are we talking about Sandman right now?
No.
Is it just
listen, I have to go I
don't want to listen. Goodbye, James. Goodbye, James. Goodbye. What are you even listening to what we're talking about? Why would you bring up another case? 702-257-5396. We're talking about Michael Avenatti, the way he's being treated behind bars. And in solitary confinement 24/7. He's not being treated the way Paul Manafort's being treated for the idiot that called in who wanted to compare the two. 257-5396. Go to Brian. Brian, you're up next on the Vegas Take. What's going on? 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Dr. Doug. He's next up on the Vegas Take. What's up, Doug?
What's up, Dr. Doug?
Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
It's really nice to hear. It's really nice to hear you all again.
Thank you.
I think the only thing that people have to realize is, regardless of what side you're on, the way they're treating people who are arrested and then awaiting trial,
right,
is
getting out. It's getting out of hand. No matter which side you look at it on.
Well, I agree, Doug,
So,
I agree. You bring up a really good point, Doug. I mean, listen, this guy has, to this point in his entire life, has never been convicted of a crime, and there is a judge that says if he let Michael Avenatti out on bail, that he is a detriment to society and he is a danger to society. I'm sorry, I completely disagree with that.
Well, I think they go in a little bit too far. If that's the case, with how we feel about certain people, kind of lock up the president, don't you think?
What? You know what? You bring up a very valid point there. But you know what? Here's what I'll say about Michael. Doug, and you can tell me whether you agree or not. And listen, we've had Michael in studio plenty of times. He's been on our show every week. I've gotten a chance to know him pretty well.
2 months ago, the guy was sitting right next to me.
But here's what
for hours on it.
Well, 2 months, yeah. I mean, we just had him on the show last week. So here's what I'll say about Michael. And I don't know if he committed any crimes or not, but I'll say this. If you are going to go after the most powerful people in the world, in this case, Donald Trump and one of the biggest companies in the world, Nike, you have to make sure you don't have any skeletons in your closet. And I mean any. I'm talking about parking tickets, anything. You have to make sure you don't have anything in that closet that you can get in trouble for doing. Now, I don't know if Michael committed any crimes. He hasn't been convicted of anything. I hope he didn't commit any crimes. But if he did, they are going to bring down the hammer on him. And I would have to think that if he did commit a crime, and we don't know if he did, but if he did, he had to have known, because he's a smart guy. He had to have known that eventually they were going to come after him. So I hope I'm wrong, Doug. But the fact that he's being treated like El Chapo, and there is anybody on the planet that could defend that, is disgusting.
And with financial crimes, restitution is always an option if you are convicted. And assuming he has a lot of money to his name, he can pay those people back to reduce his sentence.
I think it's becoming a real problem that you have to be Mother Teresa to be able to speak up about anything in this world.
Exactly. That's true.
How about the fact that they give this guy one social call? By the way, thank you for the call, Doug. We appreciate it.
Good call, Doug.
How about the fact? Thank you. How about the fact that they're only giving this guy one social call a month? And they're not giving him an opportunity to read new discovery in the case. So his attorneys, they're not able to defend him as well as they normally would. I'm very curious to know what happens today, and if they move him to the general population. I'm very curious to find out if the judge does the right thing in this case. And I'm also curious to know if Nike is just intentionally a part of this. Is Nike a part of this? Is Donald Trump a part of this? Is his administration and the Attorney General a part of this? I think everything is way too coincidental to say that they decided to put this guy behind bars shortly before the Nike trial. I really do. I think it's troubling, to say the least. This is extremely troubling.
Yeah, and again, I think it's more Nike than it is Donald Trump at this point.
Yeah. And you might be right. We probably will never know the truth, but to think that Nike and or Donald Trump and his administration are not a part of this, to think that the reason why he's in the situation he's in now is solely because of what he did and not because of going after Trump.
And one of the things that you didn't discuss, and that was actually in the letter, is that Nike has been introducing new pieces of discovery to the case while he's been locked up that he has not been able to go over. So they're trying to get they're trying to add on to his case, and so that he can't defend himself.
Right.
So obviously they're very actively involved in this entire thing.
No question. I got to say, I'm worried for him. I am. Listen, if he committed crimes, whatever that may be, then he's going to pay the price for that. We don't know if that's true or not, but I would be a little worried for his safety. When you look at some of the other things that have gone on with some other people that were in jail cells before, I'm not worried about him.
Well, I'll tell you this: the fact that this letter got out into the open is a good thing for him. It's a win for Michael Avenatti. The fact that we know about this, that the general public knows about this, that we made a tweet about it and it went semi-viral, that's good for Michael Avenatti.
I agree. It is a good thing. I'm glad it's out there to the public. I hope the judge makes the right decision.
And I think he will.
Okay. Coming up next, this is going to be interesting. Her name is Courtney Friel. Used to work on Fox News. She's accused the president of inappropriate behavior when she was at Fox News. She has a new book out tonight at 10, Kicking Booze and Breaking News. Courtney Friel, former Fox News employee, will be joining us next on the Vegas Take. Be back right after this.